Hey guys, welcome back to FreeSpeed with TriLife. I know it's been a while, but we've been on a what you can call production break for the summer. It's been a bit hot outside, but welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at something simple, something basic, but also something that a lot of people need some help with. So today we're going to learn how to change the inner tube of your bike just in case you get a puncture. Alright, so before we get started, I just want to explain one or two things to you. When fixing a puncture, as with all things, there is a bare minimum of things you need. When it comes to a puncture, there's three main things. Number one is tire levers. This will help you take the tire off the rim so that you can access the tube on the inside. Number two is a new tube. Obviously the old one has now a hole in it, so you need to take that one out. And if you're at home, dispose of it in the bin, or if you're out on a ride, put it neatly in your back pocket and then dispose of it when you get back to the end of your ride. The third thing that you're going to need is an air source, be it compressed air in the form of a little CO2 canister, a big hand pump, or a small handhold pump that fits in your back pocket or mounted on your bike. Those are the three things that you're going to need. As with all things cycling, there's obviously a whole bunch of different options for each of those three items. Tire levers are pretty straightforward. They basically just come in different lengths. So option number one is about 10 to 15 centimeters long. This is quite a common one. This is the one that you'll see that people carry in their back pocket while they're riding, or in their little saddlebags on their bike. The most portable option. As the name suggests, lever. The longer the lever, the more leverage you'll get. So in other words, it'll be easier to take the tire off the rim. So hence you get a longer version. This is about almost 20 centimeters long. This one's going to make it a lot easier to take your tire off your rim, but it's also going to take up a lot more space. So it ultimately depends on how much space you have and which one you want. They both do the same thing. When it comes to air solutions, we have, as I see it, three main solutions. We have compressed air in the form of a CO2 canister and regulator. This is the smallest and most effective way of pumping up your tire. You plug in the compressed air to the valve and you release the air into your tire. It pumps up your tire in a matter of 10 seconds. It isn't the most cost-effective way of doing it, but it is definitely the quickest way. Your second option would be something like this. This is a small handheld pump. This can be kept in your back pocket while riding or mounted on your bike. Something like this is probably the most universal way of pumping up your tires. It can pump up Presta valve, Schrader valve, mountain bike, road bike, and it's portable, so you can take it around wherever you go. The third main source would be a foot pump. Something like this. This, for obvious reasons, cannot be carried around with you. So this is useful at home, or somewhere in a car at the beginning of your ride or something. This is to check your tire pressure, not necessarily an emergency source of air, but it's the most accurate source of air when fixing a puncture. So perhaps when you get home and you want to check your pressure after the ride, something like that, this will be your number one option. Alright, the third and probably most important thing to take with you on the ride is your tube. Now, a tube is something that you should never ever forget at home. Something that takes up hardly any space in your back pocket, but can actually save your life out there in the desert. So make sure you get the right tube. Road bike tubes have a couple of different options, mainly dependent on the valve length. The valve is this little thing that you plug your pump into that allows you to pump up your tire. Different profile wheels come with different lengths of valves. So you get a 42, 60mm or 80mm. Those are the most common valve lengths. Make sure you get the right one. Rather have a longer valve than a valve that's too short. If I have a valve that's too short, it's not going to reach all the way through the rim and I'm not going to be able to pump up my tire. So make sure you carry the right tube with you on the ride. Alright, so now you have all the things that you need to fix your puncture. Now I'm going to actually show you how to do it. So pay close attention and take notes if you have to. Alright, so the first step that you need to do when changing a puncture is removing the wheel. So we're going to do this example with the front wheel. So removing the wheel, I've shot a video on this before, so if you want to scroll back on our YouTube channel, it'll show you exactly how to remove the wheel. Alright, so for those of you that are watching me and doing this along with me at home, I'm going to assume that your tire is flat already because you have a puncture. So now that you've got the wheel out of the bike, we need to get the tube out of the wheel. So step number one is to grab your tire levers and get the tire out. So some of you that have done this before might only need one tire lever, some of you might not actually even need tire levers, but I'm going to show you how to do it with a tire lever. So what you do is you take the lever in your right hand, the wheel in your left hand, and you need to use the curved shape of the tire lever to stick inside the tire. inside the gap there and pry it open. So you flick it open like that, and then you use your other thumb to hold it down like so on the beading, and you pull. You pull like that. Can you see how the tire is starting to come off the rim? And you use this the whole way around like so, and ultimately this is what you want. You want to now have your tire half off the rim so that you can actually expose the tube on the inside. What you need to do is take your tube completely out. This is now a tube that is almost useless. So if you're out on a ride, what we'd prefer you do is to fold it up into a little ball and then put it in your back pocket. Alright, the next step is quite possibly the most important step in changing a puncture. Now that you have the tube out and you've disposed of the old one, you need to check the inside of your tire, that there's not a thorn or a piece of metal or a piece of glass still stuck inside the tire. If it's still stuck inside the tire, you're going to put a new tube in and it's going to get a puncture immediately. So what you do is you take your fingers and you run it on the inside of the tire like this, passing it all the way through, feeling for a piece of metal, a thorn or something like that. Don't worry, it won't nick you until the point that you're going to bleed out. You'll just be able to feel it scratching underneath it. It shouldn't be too bad. If you don't find anything, that's good news. That means that the piece of metal or thorn went in and came straight out. So once you're confident that there's nothing still stuck in the tire, it's time to put a new tube inside your wheel. Right, so you grab the tube that you have determined is the right size for you, that over there, and you unravel it. Now, a little trick of the trade is to try and put some air in this tube first. It's just going to help you when installing the tube inside the tire. The tube will just take a little bit of shape. So you unscrew your little valve end over here, and you can actually just blow it up with your mouth. So there we go. As you can see, the tube is taking a little bit of shape, and I'll show you now exactly why. Locate the valve hole on your rim. Now, this part is important. Put the valve into the hole like that. You can see I've got the right size valve because it's sticking out nicely there. And then you place it evenly with your left and your right hand on both sides the whole way around. What this is going to do is going to make sure that your valve stays straight. If you work one way around, like so, what's going to happen is your tube is going to pull skew inside your rim. So place the tube in nice and evenly the whole way around, and then do exactly the same thing when popping the tire back on. Alright, so if you watch carefully, you'll see that the tire is still open and exposing the tube. We need to pop the tire back onto the rim. So we take our hands, and you'll watch as you just pull it towards you like this. You'll see you'll pull it and pop it on. Should make sense to you as you're doing it slowly. There we go. And again, working evenly on the left and the right side. The most important part here is to make sure that you don't pinch the tube in between the tire and the rim. So just be very careful when popping this back on. You push it evenly around, and then you'll notice it gets tighter towards the end. So this part is very, very difficult to get on. This is where you can either just use your brute strength to put it on, or you make use of your trusty tire levers. You're now going to use your tire lever in the opposite way of using it before. So instead of prying it open, you're going to pry it closed. So we use this little lever to stick on the inside, in between the tire and the rim. And we do it carefully, being careful not to pinch the tube. Watch carefully that you don't pinch your tube. There we go. And we're basically just using this to pop the tire back on like so. So now what you should have is you should have your wheel in your hand with a brand new tube inside. Obviously there's no air in it yet, so now we need to use the third and final tool, our air solution. So whichever one you choose to use today, we are going to use a floor pump because it is the quickest and easiest way for me to show you how to pump it up. Once you've given your wheel a few strokes of the pump, what you need to do is make sure that the beading is seated nice and evenly the whole way around. We don't want you to pump it up and for the tire to pop off again. So all you do is you make sure that there's an even line the whole way and there's no obscure looking bubbles or bumps. Once you've done that, you can proceed pumping. The last and final step in the process is obviously putting your wheel back into the bike. So again, you're welcome to follow the video that I have made in the past on our YouTube channel if you scroll down. Otherwise, alright, so there you have it folks, that's exactly how to repair a puncture. Whether you're out on the road or whether you've taken your bike down from storage and you've realized that the tires are flat, the same process applies. You might just want to change the use of pump or air source, or perhaps the size of tire levers that you use, but ultimately it's the same process. Relatively straightforward and easy. Ultimately, failing this, you're more than welcome to bring your bike into TriLife and we'll do it for you in a jiffy. No worries at all.